सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे गाहे तव शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Okay, so the first place we went to on the day we arrived in Delhi is New Delhi. We first come in front of the Rashtrapati Bhavana, the residence of the President of India. This house, built in 1911 with the inauguration of New Delhi, was built for the Governor General of British India. After India gained independence, this house was meant to be the President's residence, and the first President started to live here from 1950. A road straight goes from here to the India Gate, and these two houses are the Secretariat buildings, the North Block and the South Block. Corinthian pillars, this ship design is clearly coming from this British design, which was even used in coins. These houses are indeed prominent examples of the British architecture in India. We then go to see the Parliament building here, which was built in 1921 and back then was named the Council House. When India gained independence, it was turned into the Parliament of India, and the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the two houses of parliament, are both located here. New Delhi was planned by Edward Lutyens to become the new capital of the Empire of India in 1911, and this road, the Rajpath from the Rashtrapati Bhavana to the India Gate, is the heart of the city. And this is the India Gate. It was actually known as the War Memorial, built in memories of the Indian casualties of World War I in 1921. And so, every soldier's name who died back then are carved on the gate. This area is one of my favorite parts of the country. Now then, the next day, we go to the National Railway Museum here. One of the best rail museums I have ever seen. We rode on a toy train and saw the numerous locomotives and wagons here. And then we go to the real parts of the historic city of Delhi. In the part of Mehrauli in New Delhi sits the complex of Qutub Minar, along with its many surrounding monuments. This complex is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. The complex was built during the Sultani period of the 12th century. Now standing inside the Alai Darwaza, the wonderful gateway built by Sultan Alauddin Khilji of the Khilji dynasty in 1311. Which stands just on the south of the Qutub Minar. This magnificent pillar is 73 meters high, was built in 1193 by the first Sultan of Delhi, Qutubuddin Aibak of the Mamluk dynasty. This minar is indeed wonderful, a symbol of Indian architecture. The Qutub Minar is indeed wonderful, and beside that, we see the Mosque of Quwwatul Islam, also built by Qutubuddin Aibak. And inside this, we see the famous iron pillar around which the mosque was built. And this pillar was built by the Mauryan king Chandragupta II in 402 AD. And the astonishing thing is, it hasn't rusted a bit since then. How did this happen? No one knows. Alauddin Khilji, of whom I was talking about earlier, had planned to build another pillar named Alai Minar near Qutub Minar, intended to become twice as tall as the Qutub Minar. But before it was completed, the Sultan died, so this was never completed. And then we come to the Jantar Mantar in New Delhi. What is that? Well, it is an astronomical institute built by King Jai Singh in 1724. He built 5 of these throughout India, one in Delhi, the largest in Jaipur, and the others in Mathura, Benares, and Ujjain. This is astonishing to think that astronomy in those days was so developed in India. Okay, so the next day we go to the Purana Killa. It was built in the 16th century, built by Sher Shah Suri, who had exiled the second Mughal Empire. Sher Shah himself was a great king. His government improvements were so revolutionary that it even inspired Akbar the Great, perhaps the greatest king of India. He had also made improvements in postal services, and for the connection within the empire, he had built a huge road all the way from Bengal to Sindhu, from one side of India to another. He was indeed remarkable, and so is this fort. And then we come to the Humayun's tomb. First we go to Isha Khan's tomb, who was a minister of Humayun, the second Mughal emperor. And then we enter the real tomb. Humayun, the second Mughal emperor, had been defeated and exiled by Sher Shah Suri. But after Sher Shah died, Humayun eventually regained the empire. But unfortunately, only a year after he had regained it, Humayun fell from a stair in the aforementioned Purana Killa and died. This tomb was built by his wife Hamida Banu. The breathtaking site is a World Heritage Site, and its design was partially used in the Taj Mahal. And then we come to the majestic Red Fort, built by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, who also built the Taj Mahal in 1639. Back then, Red Fort or Lal Killa was known as Shahjahanabad. It is indeed a wonderful site, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is the Diwani Arm, which can be called the House of Commons. And here exists the world famous Mayur Singhasan or the peacock throne, made of pure gold, which the Persian Emperor Nadir Shah had taken away to Persia. And this is the Diwali khas of the House of Lords. And that is the Moti Masjid built by Aurangzeb, the son of Shah Jahan.
मुकाबला करेंगे एक टाइम हार कैसे मामला
We are here in the time of Durga Puja, quite a fascinating festival in Delhi. And what was that, you ask? Well, that is the Kumbhakarna, the brother of Ravana, the villain in the Ramayana, being blown. And then Ravana's son Indrajit will be blown up, and then Ravana himself. They say that Ravana was killed during this time of the year, and therefore this festival, Dussehra, is extremely popular here. Next day, we come to Agra. And what is the primary attraction of Agra, you ask? Yes, sir, the Taj Mahal, one of the 7 wonders of the world. So after just half an hour we dashed to this wonderful sight. This is the main gate of the Taj. It is also pretty nice. Alright, built by the great Emperor Shah Jahan in 1632 in memory of his favorite wife Mumtaz Mahal, it took 17 years to build. It is made of pure marble and is just, well, words fail me. And then we went straight to Mehtab Bagh, just on the opposite side of the Yamuna river of the Taj Mahal. This garden was built by Shah Jahan's great-great-grandfather, the first Mughal emperor Babur, in the 1520s. And from there, we stared at the Taj in amazement. And the next day we went to Fatehpur Sikri. This city was built by the greatest Mughal emperor and possibly the greatest king in Indian history, Akbar the Great. He intended to make this the capital of India, but unfortunately because of the breakdown of the water system, the city had to be abandoned. But still, this UNESCO World Heritage Site gives you a clear picture of how well-designed city had Akbar dreamt. Here, the world-famous musician of that time, Tansen, used to sit and sing in front of the emperor and is known as Tansen's Bharadwari. And that five-storied building is known as the Panch Mahal, quite an architectural marvel. This was the residence of the famous courtier Birbal. And this is the tomb of Akbar's favorite elephant, Hiran, and therefore is known as the Hiran Minar. And this is the city center. In the middle, we see the tomb or dargah of Salim Chishti, who was a Sufi saint who was worshipped by Akbar for a son, and the child was named Salim after the saint, and Salim later became the fourth Mughal emperor, Jahangir. This is the Buland Darwaza, the massive gateway, the signature of Fatehpur Sikri. It is absolutely wonderful. And then we went to Sikandra, the tomb of Akbar the Great. In this mausoleum lies the greatest king of India. And then we come to the tomb of Itmad-ud-Dawla. He was the father of Noor Jahan, the wife of the fourth Mughal emperor Jahangir. This site is indeed wonderful. In fact, this one and the Humayun's tomb were the inspiration for the Taj Mahal. Itmad-ud-Dawla's ornamentations are indeed impressive. And the next day, we go to the Agra Fort. This UNESCO World Heritage Site was built by Akbar the Great in the mid-16th century. It even has a bridge which can be lifted. It is very rare in Indian forts. This is the Diwani Khas or the House of Lords here. And in this place, Shah Jahan, the builder of the Taj, was imprisoned by his son Aurangzeb. From here, the upset former emperor would stare at the Taj until his death and would be buried there. That night was a full moon, and we had collected a pass and visited the Taj Mahal at night. We stared at it in amazement. The moonlight was washing over the pure marble structure, the seventh wonder of the world. I have seen many sights in my life, but seeing the Taj Mahal on a moonlit full moon was the greatest end we could have asked for the end of our journey. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you.